Good everyone, Michael Anderson 2 here, back with another Gran Turismo 7 video. This week we've got the new daily races. We've got daily race A, B, but we're going to focus on daily race C here around Kyoto Driving Park. 8 laps, no tyre wear or fuel to worry about for this one. But the main issue with this race this week is the seemingly broken glitch with the curbs. And as you'll see as we go into the race, into daily race C here, we're going to go and find a time from the top 10 leaderboards and have a look and see what these guys are doing. So this was from Monday when I first did these races. So we're going to start off here, going on to the first corner, and as you can see I've slowed it down here, so it's gone off the brakes, put his tyres on the inside of the curb. As you can see in the white, just aside of the track map there, he's full throttle way before you really should be able to go full throttle around that corner, and it's because the tyres just hooked on the inside of the curb and it's able to really bring the car around, and it allows people to just get loads of speed through the high speed corners. As you can see here in fast mode, in normal speed, just full throttle around that corner when realistically he shouldn't be doing it at all. So there's a lot of talk at the moment in the Gran Turismo community about how these curbings are broken and allowing people to get such quick lap times on the leaderboards at the moment. So yeah, let me know down in the comments if you agree, if you think it's something that's broken, if it needs to be fixed, and or if you think that it's part and parcel of the game. Let me know. Also, while you're down there, if you want to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button as well, that'd be greatly appreciated. So we're going on to first lap here of qualifying. So I looked at that lap, kind of looked at how to go around the circuit, where to brake, where to change into gears for each corner and stuff. So I've kind of taken that into account. This is the first proper lap that I've given a go. So 23.8 there, I think. Yeah, 23.8 going into the first sector, and as we come into that corner there, you see I've just clipped the tyres over the curbs, and it's really just unsettles the car. So if you don't get it down properly on the curbings, it can actually really unsettle the car. So if you're going to do it, you've got to make sure that you keep the car firmly planted. And so going through the mid section of the track here, that's probably the slowest section of the whole entire circuit. Most of the track is actually quite high speed. And you've got to try and keep the minimum speed as high as possible on this track, because if you can keep the minimum speed around these like mid to high speed corners as high as possible, actually you gain so much more lap time, and it can gain so much time on your competitors. So going down into this corner, you want to go down to second, maybe even first, and then on exit you want to be on third gear to be able to get a nice smooth exit, and you don't really get the back end stepping out. Because if you can get that corner, is really prone to your back end stepping out if you go off in second gear. So third gear actually really helps quite a lot, keeping the car stable. That corner I absolutely messed up on the qualifying, but you want to go down to second, third on exit for most corners. This one, go down to third to turn it in, fourth on exit to actually, because you want to carry a lot more speed through that corner. So fourth is actually a good gear to be in for that one. Again, for the final corner it's third, and as we come up to the line you want to keep it as short run to the line as possible, stay into the left hand side, and we go in after looking at the top 10 times, actually 7 tenths quicker than previous best. So clearly watching the top 10 times actually is a really big help to improve your lap time, so I do recommend that if you're struggling for speed. But first race here, we're in a full B-rated lobby, second place, to the Frenchman behind. If you actually start in second on this rolling start is actually really helpful, because you're already in third gear and not having to you're not maxing out in second gear. So that happens if you're in third place. So second place is quite good. Here we actually run a tiny bit wide, but actually get a better exit than the Frenchman in front, and you can see that we've gained a lot of time on the Italian behind us. We've gained 8 temps we gapped the Italian to 8 temps, nearly 9 temps now. I'm right on the back of the Frenchman here, so this race is looking good. The Frenchman goes a bit deep, and we get a straight exit, almost I tried to catch the tyres on the inside curb to whip me round a bit, but actually didn't quite whip me round, and I had to back out of the accelerator there, otherwise I would have gone straight into the barrier on the right hand side of the track. The Italian here getting up just to my back end there, but we get a nice exit in that section and actually keep a nice little gap between the Italian and the Frenchman. Coming through this section now, you want to try and keep as close to the car. If you're behind the car, you want to keep as close to it as you can. Trying to keep it under pressure through this section, because after you get out of this corner, if you can get a nice exit out of this corner and get right up to the back end of the Frenchman, the braking zone down into this double right-hander is actually a really good spot for overtaking, inside or outside. Unfortunately, on this occasion, we're not quite close enough. We have to just settle in behind the Frenchman here. I mean, we're still gapping the Italian we still gaps it to 8/10, so we know we're quicker than the Italian behind us, and we feel like we're quicker than the Frenchman as well. And unfortunately, there we do go a bit deep, and we also on exit lose the back end as well when we get our tyres up on the curb on the right hand side. This part here, you got to try and keep make the car really unstable, so you got to just try and keep it as stable as possible through that corner. The curbing can really unsettle the car, but that's the first lap of this race, and it's gone all right. We've maintained position. We know we're faster than the Italian behind, and the Frenchman in front is definitely he's definitely within the realms of being overtaken. So as you can see, we've gapped the Italian now to about 1.2, 1.3 seconds, and we're still all over the back of this Frenchman here. We've obviously gone purple on the second lap, and unfortunately not quite close enough. But the Frenchman does go a bit deep, but that does allow him to get more of a straight-lined exit onto this part of the track. But our exit actually wasn't too bad, and we actually were able to. We've closed right up to the Italian here. He's gone a bit deep, braking a tiny bit early, and also braking like double take at the brake there, which meant that his medium C is actually quite low. This has allowed us to get right all over the back of him. But I know that this section is really treacherous to try and go really close to each other here, so we try and back off, but unfortunately we carry a bit too much speed, because I try to get a nice exit, and it's actually put us right back into the clutches of the Italian here, who's also in the Beetle in a much more luminescent green, and he gets down our inside here, and actually is a really good move from him. It's a good little switchback from the Italian, and that's the drag race down to the first corner. And I know that if I stay side by side here, I could get the position, but I'll lose so much more time to the Frenchman. So I just slot in behind the Italian. Now I know I'm faster than this Italian, so it's all about making sure that I can get myself in the right place to be able to get past him as easily as possible. Unfortunately, we hit the curb there. It's kind of sent us a bit wide. He also was quite slow, so it could have been a potential time to actually overtake, and we go very deep into turn 6 here, and you can see the Italian used the curb there slightly to bring himself round. So I don't know, he might have used that curb glitch in order to get himself around that corner a lot quicker. And as you can see, the Italian's actually caught up to the back of the Frenchman. I think this Frenchman, while he's done a quick qualifying time, his race pace is definitely not as strong. The Italian here tries to accelerate early, actually I think goes a bit too early, has to back out the accelerator, and he's coming right back into our clutches now. 2/10 gap to him. I could stay right behind him, trying to keep as close to him as possible, and we're all over the back of him here. We move to the outside. We know he's on our inside, so I try a late brake to go round the outside. If I can late brake and get a nice accelerator on the outside, he actually moves across, thinking that we weren't going to be beside him, but we still were. And I think I know that I've got a bit more speed than him, and the Frenchman's kind of moved away here, so I feel like I need to make this move. So I stay to the inside. I go wide, so I'm afraid that he might cut back at me, but we give him the racing room. I'm on the far right hand side, right, just keep it within the track limits. We're side by side going through the section, and as I look down quickly there, I see that I'm just ahead, so I can pull right across him, and there's no chance of me colliding with him. So good racing there between me and Poseidon. It's actually quite a fair move from me, I think, and there was not much colliding between the both of us. So now the Frenchman's actually extended the gap to 2.5 seconds. So now's the time where I need to knuckle down, get some lap times in, and we're going on to lap 5 here. He's still 2.3, so we closed up the gap a bit, but he's doing all right, the Frenchman is. And the Italian is actually keeping me honest, staying with me, six tenths behind me. We go around turn 6 here. Went to go get the tyres on the inside of that, but actually I didn't really want to do it there. I think it would have unsettled the car, so I backed out. That's put me under pressure now from the Italian. He goes to the outside and he brakes, but I just completely mess up my braking zone. And as we hit our good old friend Scott into the barrier, otherwise known as into the barrier, obviously, we've absolutely scuppered our chances of a race win here. And now we just got to try and fight back, keep it going as the two in front of us collide, and the German is sent to Narnia and actually vanishes completely from the server. He must have been very angry with that Portuguese man, to the point that he just didn't want to race anymore. So unfortunately we're in P7 at the end of lap 5 here. Is that 3? No, P4 is still very much within sights here. I mean, P3 is just up the road as well, so P3 is, if we can nail these laps together, P3 is definitely on the cards. But as we go around the first turn, we get on the power a bit too early, and get on the grass and trying to keep it in. But unfortunately, the back end stepped out on us, and on the grass just sent us into the barrier again, and now we're back down in 9th place, and just got to try and make the most of this as the Spanish driver decides that he doesn't want to go straight. He wants to take a detour off to the grassed area on the right hand side. And as we come up here, we can see that a lovely Marshall is doing a fantastic job here, waving ferociously the green flag. He's making sure that the drivers know that this track is clear and that we can go racing. Thank you so much. It's fantastic marshalling from that man right there. But on to lap 7 now, midway just to the end of sector 1 on lap 7. We're coming up to the back of the Italian here in 7th place. As we pass that Marshal who's still waving green flags, and the Marshal who again waving green flags again, definitely telling us that it's safe to drive. I don't think there's any cars around that are potentially a hazard, but going around this long left-hander here, the Italian actually gets a good run, and there's no chance that we're going to be able to get all over the back of him going into this corner. So he brakes quite early, and I was afraid I was going to go right into the back of him there, but he moved over thankfully in the corner. But this has actually allowed this has allowed us to actually get right all over the back of him, heading it down to this hairpin here. He goes defensive, then moves back across to the right and actually goes a bit deep, so then we move straight to the inside, keeping it in third on exit, and we've just kept ahead of him here. He looks to the inside for this corner, but I know that he should not go for this move down into this area of the track. I kind of go a bit slowly, so he actually loses momentum himself going on the exit there, and going into this corner, I knew that I had the corner, and it was too far back to make a lunge. So now it's all about see if I can actually get any places up on the last lap, but unfortunately could not. Caught up to the back of Iggy Dog there, but couldn't quite get past him on that last lap. And P7 for the first race. It's not too bad. It's okay. But I decided I wanted to go and attempt a second qualifying lap to try and better it after a bit more experience on that track. And this is my best lap so far in terms of qualifying, and probably is currently my PB. Definitely could be quicker, but I'm quite happy with what I've done here. Through that first sector, it's actually really quick. A 23.7, you're already a tenth up on what my previous time was. You've got to keep as wide as you can, really fling it into this corner. I've actually used and abused these curbs to absolute max, and I currently don't have the ghost on for what my PB is, but I do know that I am like a couple attempts up on the time already. We go through this corner where we actually did fluff it the first time. We actually do that a lot more smoother, and the exit there is a lot smoother as well. Keep it in second. Probably could have gone to third, but a third for the exit here is okay. The exit's all right. We keep it on the grass there, so that's probably a bit of time lost. 58.9 for the about halfway through the lap here. Not too bad. It's this corner here is where you've got to try and keep the minimum speed as high as possible. You want to keep it above 100. We just dipped below, but it's okay. Go back down into fourth to get the turn a bit more and accelerate on the exit. We actually nail that exit. We keep it within the track limits, and actually there's no sort of jerkiness with the accelerator. Braking just at the yellow hash markings there. We keep it in third. Probably could have gone down second for turning, but third was alright. And third on exit, you're going up the hill here. You want to get up to fifth by the before this hairpin here, and you break just the red barriers on the right hand side up here. Go down into second. I've actually used the curbing on the inside, and the back end stepped out a lot there, and that's a lot of time lost on this lap. But going down here, fling it in, back end steps out, but we actually managed to catch it and actually get the power down quite smoothly going on the exit there and into the final corner. You want to hit second for a little bit to get it turned in, and then third for the exit, and then it's a straight dash to the line. And as we come up to the line here, we're going to come across with a 2:17.6, and it's actually a very decent lap. I'm actually quite happy with it, particularly on the time I recorded this, which was the Monday. This put me in a A/B lobby with a couple people you may know of. Ara24. He's known, I think, a moderator for Rory Alexander. Don't 100% quote me on it though, but I'm pretty sure that's where I know him from. But going into this first lap of this race, we absolutely bottled the S's section here. And Javi behind us, the Spanish driver, goes right up to the back of us. Unfortunately, he can't actually get the move past us, but he then tries to keep it right close to us. So we see, does the curbing actually work in terms of gaining you speed? And boy, does it. We were more than a second behind Ara there, and we gained about 6/10 on Javi, the Spanish driver there. So I faked the move here on Ara, trying to see if I could fool him going into this corner. There's no way I was going to fool him there. We both go a bit deep, but we get on the power similar times. The Spanish driver closed up a tiny bit, but on exit we actually were a bit quicker than him. So Ara here, coming up to the hairpin, he's braking a bit late, so he's taking the corner a bit wide. We're taking it right on the curbing, and that's allowed us to get a nice exit. We're all over the back of the Belgian here. Going down into this very unstable part of the track. You want to make sure you don't lose it. Ara has gone wide. I've also gone wide, and this has allowed the Spanish driver to go through. I know he's on the left, but Ara is coming back across, so I know the gap's going to appear down the right-hand side. So I swooped down the inside of Ara there. He turned in. I don't know if he knew I was there, so he turned in on me, but it was okay. But the Spanish driver was definitely the winner there. So we've managed to hold position, but we gained and also lost at the same time. Ara went to look for the inside there, kind of put me off a bit. I went a bit deep into the corner, and there was kind of a knock-on effect there. Ara touched me, which slowed him down, which then actually knocked himself into the car behind him and spun the guy out. And I'm not entirely sure, but Ara may have got a penalty for that. We might have a look back in a second, but the main target now is to try and catch up to the Spanish driver. So we see if the glitch actually helps here, and you can see behind, I've gained a lot of time on the Belgian Ara behind us, and Javi in front of us has actually gained. Actually, he hasn't gained, but we've gained on him, and we're a bit sloppy through this section. We could have gone up to third there. That would have actually helped us in terms of speed and rotation. But yeah, so moving on to midway through lap 3 now, and the start of the middle sector, we close up to the back of Javi here. We go a bit deep into the double right-hander, but so does Ara behind us. And actually, Javi did not get the best exit there, and we're starting to close in on him. And I feel like I'm faster than him. I feel like if he makes a mistake, I will be able to pounce and I'll be able to get past him. And in this, especially in this lobby, I'm in a great position as a B-rated driver. I B-rated driver in an A/B rated lobby. I'm in a good place, but unfortunately, I decide that I don't want to have a good race, and I bottle it and go into the wall there. I knew that arrow was coming through, so I moved to the left to like give him the run down the inside, so that we didn't scupper each other, and this allowed Arrow to really make a gap between me and himself and close himself up to the Spanish driver in front. And we go a bit wide here. We managed to hold it. I don't know how we held it here, but not a lot really happened. But up until lap 7, and then Arrow here, I don't know if you might have saw, but there was a massive collision, and he collided with Javi, and then if you look up in the map here, he's been spun out again, and as we look in the bottom left, that was enough for him to want to go back to the lobby, unfortunately. Seems that it wasn't quite a great race for him. I have a feeling, I didn't save the replay of this race, so I couldn't look back through it, but I have a feeling that Javi wasn't being all too fair with his moves there, unfortunately, in that race. And as we move into the last race of this video, the guy who won the race is actually not in this lobby. So Ara is on pole and I was in second, with Himmel, the German, behind us, and Javi, the suspect from the last race, in fourth. Now this race is actually probably one of the more interesting races. We've got a good gap right from the start already to the German behind us, a whole 1 second, and we've closed right up to the back of Ara here. We've got well within 2 attempts, used the curbing to help us. Going down his inside here, we brake a bit late to try and make sure that we're on his inside, but unfortunately he actually does a really good move around the outside to hold position there, and he covered me off well. So I'll just got a bit wide there. So unfortunately that's actually scuppered us for the rest of this lap, and we're gonna have to just sit behind him and make sure that we can keep the gap to the guys behind, because they're starting to close in now. So we've got to make sure that we don't allow this 1v1 fight to turn into more than just the 2 of us, because that will allow the likes of Himmel and Javi to get back at us, and who knows what will happen then. Arrow goes a bit slowly into this double right hand actually. Hits the first apex, which you probably don't want to do. You want to try and hit the later apex and try and get a nice straight line up the hill. As you see, Himmel actually got a much better exit than both of us and closed right up to the back of us, well within 2 to 3 attempts. If you look in the rear view, he actually got a snap of oversteer there and has actually lost a bit of time, and got a bit more breathing room for us right now. Ara here goes a bit wide, so do I, and back end slightly goes, and he's coming across. Thankfully he goes, but at the same time as gaining the position, we lost position again to the German, who's actually in the Corvette, not in the OP car of the Beetle for this race. So while he's in the Corvette and it's decent in the straight line, we actually could have a chance against him in the corners. So all hope is not lost here. He's gone a bit deep into this first turn, and I've decided I want to try and use the curbs a bit more, see if that actually does help you, and if these curbs are broken, because this was on Monday. This is the first time I've seen these, so I'm trying to see how strong are these curb glitches, and they seem to be fairly strong in terms of keeping the speed high. So as we go into turn 6 here, we get a lovely love tap up the rear from Javi there, who gives us a lot more speed going into the straight after turn 6, and close right up to the back of German Himmel here. We get a nice exit actually out of this corner. We go for the move, but he actually moves over and does a really good defensive job there. But unfortunately his exit out of turn 9 there is not as good, so we try to find a move down either inside or outside of him, but he's actually placing his car in really good positions. Defensively he's doing really well, but defensively on lap 2 is actually probably not great. you want to try and do it a bit later on in the race, and actually he's gone a bit wide into the long left-hander there. We've managed to go round down to his inside, which now turns to the outside. We're going to brake late, but he also brakes late, and actually he puts us very wide, and we almost get overtaken there by Xavi. Thankfully, we had a much better exit, so our speed was a bit higher. We're able to maintain second position here. Going into the hairpin here, we want to brake at the red and white. He also brakes at the red and white. We're keeping it nice and tight, right up to the back of the German here. And now this race is getting really interesting. I'm definitely quicker than the German, and I know that if I can get a proper move going, then I can get past him. But I go a bit wide, and Javi's, yeah, he's close enough, but not close enough for the move. I go a bit deep into the corner. We're side by side here, and at the time, I was a bit, it's probably just a racing incident, but we're going to have a look back now at some replays that I looked at after the race, and we'll see what really happened. So I've gone across, he's not behind me, but he's got a penalty, and he's gone down my inside, and the corner's off to the right, and it seems like he moved left. That was from my perspective anyway, but anyway, we're going to look at him from his perspective. So I've gone a bit wide. He's a bit quicker than me, but not entirely quicker. The move's not really there because I've broken a bit late. Gone a bit wide, so yeah, he goes here, but here, at this point, where I just paused it, the corner's off to the right, the exit's way further to the right, but he's just sailing straight for the barrier at this point. So he's even gone off himself and hit the barrier. There is no way he was making that corner. He was full throttle at that point, and it's just used me to turn. So, unfortunately, I think that he's put me in a bit of spot of bother there, and it's really shunted me down all the way to 10th place. And going on to the start of lap 5 here, this lap is actually really, really satisfying. I think this is the fastest lap of the race. Not the fastest lap of the race, but my fastest lap of the race. But going through the S's section of the first sector is actually really smooth. That's probably one of the smoothest I've gone through there in all the races. We're a whole second up because of the previous laps being battling and then having to recover. So this lap now, we've not even really used the curb there to really keep the car turned in to the left, so the speed was actually really, really strong. Braking just before the second white line there and getting it down to second gear. Second gear out of here is actually quite smooth, up into third, back down to second and back up to third again. The Englishman has gone a bit wide on that left hairpin there. We're still a second up on what our best was. We're closing right up to the back of the Englishman Rubik's Cube here. Through the long left-hander, he brakes a bit where you probably don't even need to brake that much, like a slight tap of the brake, but mostly lifting off, and you just want to try and make sure that you get that full throttle as early as possible and not jerk it. But 7th place actually hit the wall there. We got down the inside of Rubik's Cube, and because the 7th place hit the wall and went off, he's got dirty tyres, he's gone a bit wide, and I don't really know what happened there. It seemed a bit weird. I tapped him, and then he just decided to slow down and actually managed to overtake him. It was quite a weird overtake, but I'll take it. It works out well for me. Using the inside curb there to really bring the car on, it actually did help. It actually gained me quite a few temps there. And going down into the last part of the lap here, you really want to send it through this section. Get it onto 4th on exit so you can really accelerate out of the corner. The Englishman, the British driver behind us actually closed up a tiny bit, but went a bit deep into the final corner, whereas we actually kept it quite tight and quite nice and tidy. Coming up to the line here for the end of lap 5, start of lap 6. 16 seconds off the lead. We're going to do a time of 2:18.9, which actually is just under a second off the fastest time. And the fastest driver, is set by the Daywalker, who is in 9th place. So we know that this German, who's now just overtaken, if you see in the rear view, Rubik's Cube, is actually really quick. So we got to be wary of him in the last two or so laps of this race. We've got Jack Watson here, going into the hairpin. He's gone a bit wide, so we take the inside line. He actually gets a nice drive out of it. Even though he's wider, he's able to get on the power a bit earlier than us, and keep the position. Going down into this like section here, he goes a bit slowly. We hit him. He's gonna spin out, but we managed to keep him kind of pointing in the right direction there. So while we did overtake him, he went a bit slowly. He came back on the track in kind of a manner that we hit him, but managed to not spin him out. So it actually worked out probably for the best for everyone there. I've got another car between myself and the German Daywalker behind me, and we go on to this lap. It seems that Jack actually misjudges the acceleration point of that corner and actually has to back out, and he loses about 3 or 4 attempts there. So now going on to the final lap of the race. We're about a second ahead of Daywalker, and this lap is actually really tense. Like, he closes up a lot on this lap. So we go through the S's section here, going into 6th gear just before the 2nd, 3rd and 4th corner. And, 3rd, 4th and 5th corner, because you want to keep it, that keeps the car as stable as possible. So he's closed up to about 9 tenths into the corner, closed up to 6, and actually loses a bit of time due to him going probably a bit too deep into turn 6 there. So he's about 8 tenths behind. We've gone quicker than our personal best so far. This corner, go down to 1st momentarily, back up into 2nd. We lose the back end, and that actually allows Daywalker to really know that we're under pressure here. We want to try and make sure that there's no sort of back end stepping out, no loss of traction control. Because the more he knows that I'm losing traction, the more he knows I'm under pressure, and the more there's an opportunity, he knows there's an opportunity for him to overtake us. So coming into a long left-hander here, go down to 4th, keeping it above 100 miles an hour. That's what you want to be trying to do. He's right all over the back of us, 3 tenths the gap now. We're going down into this braking point here, where there is a big overtaking point. We brake late just to make sure if there's any dive bomb, he's not going to dive us. And he gets really close to the back end here, about 2 tenths behind, but we get a nice exit, and actually that was probably one of my stronger exits of the race, and it allowed me to get a bit of breathing room going into the hairpin here. Brake again a bit late and move to the left just to cover off any late dive bomb from the German. Lose the back end again. It really is giving him confidence going into the last part of this track. Going through this tight, unstable section, he takes it a lot better than us. We know that he's starting to catch us a bit here, so into the final corner, I take a defensive line. He goes late, tries to go round the outside, actually almost pulls off the move, but we managed to, there's a tiny bit of contact, but I gave him much more than a car's width there, and it's actually a really tight battle there for the end, but we managed to get 6th place. So, while we could have won that race, the recovery from first, from competing in first to get 6th was actually really good. And this is Ara later on, it's lap 4 of this race, and as you can see, that's Javi in front of him. He moves across in the braking zone, and Ara's very not happy that he got a penalty for that and takes it out on Javi, but unfortunately Ara was the one to fall victim to that, and that was the end for him. So that's fair. But as you can see, the great news from this race was that we managed to get to driver rating A for the first time. So I'm very, very happy with that. After a lot, I wasn't feeling too well on Monday to stream, so I did some races off stream. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you watching this video, and if you want to like and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Comment how you think the video went. I will be streaming just after this video. You've watched it, and other than that, thank you, and I'll see you all later.